Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lesser Known But Awesome Heroes. And today, I'm going to go within the medieval times of the DCU to pull out the character that I was introduced to in Justice League Unlimited, and that I thought was actually pretty interesting, and why not. But today I'll be talking about Sir Justin Yestana, I think it's how you pronounce her name, for those, for all the people overseas, all my fans overseas like Clanders and what have you, who actually know Welsh. Hopefully you'll be able to. It's actually an ancient Welsh type name. I guess it's supposed to be Welsh for Justin or Justina, and there's Innocent, and today I'm going to be talking about the Shining Knight. Now, Sir Justin, the first Shining Knight, was first appeared in Adventure Comics number 66 in September of 1941, and it was created by writer-artist Craig Fessel, F-L-E-S-S-E-L. He's been part of the Knights of the Round Table, the JSA, the Seven Soldiers of Victory, and the All-Star Squadron. And he is an expert with an enchanted sword given to him by Merlin that can cut through almost any object or matter, and he rides on a horse, and on a winged Pegasus-like horse called Winged Victory. There was a third Shining Knight, who I'll give his brief biography information here, which was Garner Grail, and this was during the Silver Age crossover event, not to be confused with the actual Silver Age of comics, and that Dick Giordano and Jeff Johns created a new Seven Soldiers of Victory to fight an Injustice League that possessed the bodies of the JLA. This version of Shining Knight, the second one, would only serve one mission, would destroy his Shining Knight armor, and he would actually later on become the second or third, maybe even possibly, the only Atomic Knight. There is a superhero actually called the Atomic Knight, but we'll get into him way later and lesser known. Who took an experimental suit of armor and called himself the Shining Knight for that one mission. And this version included Batgirl, Deadman, Metamorpho, Blackhawk, Adam Strange, and Minto of the Doom Patrol. Yestana, or Justina, first appeared in Seven Soldiers Shining Knight #1 in August of 2005. And was created by Grant Morrison and Simon Bianchi, B-I-A-N-C-H-I. And she's been part of the Seven Soldiers of Victory, the Knights of the Broken Table, and most recently in the New 52, the Demon Knights. Is unusually strong and resilient to damage, has master swordsmanship, and flies on a winged horse called Vanguard. And let's get into Sir Justin here, shall we? Sir Justin was the newest member of the Knights of the Round Table in King Arthur's court. Was one of the many knights who had witnessed Queen Guinevere's cousin Sir Fallon's death. Fallon revealed the attacker to be the ogre Blunderbore in his last breath. Justin then vowed that he would avenge his death and search for Blunderbore in the Northland. On his journey there, he met and freed the wizard Merlin, who was trapped in a tree previously by a witch. To thank Justin, Merlin transformed Justin's old rusty armor into a golden, comfortable, and shining armor that was invulnerable, and made his sword and shield invulnerable as well. Justin's sword was so powerful that it could cut through almost anything. Merlin also gave his horse Victory giant bird-like wings that allowed him to fly and made him invulnerable. Though he was unable to make Justin's skin invulnerable, Justin thanked him and continued on his search for Blunderbore. When he confronted the ogre at the top of the icy mountains in the Northland, the two battled, and Justin would eventually win and kill the ogre. However, right before he died, Blunderbore caused an avalanche that quickly buried Justin in victory. However, neither of them died, but instead were frozen in suspended animation. By the year 1941, Justin and Victory were finally discovered and thawed out. And they were thawed out by a museum curator. Realizing he must now live in the modern world, he decided to fight crime with his skills as a knight and soon took the citizen alias of Justin Arthur. He eventually met heroes like the Crimson Avenger and Vigilante, and after meeting with many other heroes, they formed the first incarnation in Golden Age 7 Soldiers of Victory. Later, Justin was invited to join the All-Star Squadron, and then the JSA and the Squadron were captured by the time-traveling villain Dagon or Dragon, Degaton, who was planning to change the events of Pearl Harbor to conquer the world. He was able to free himself using a sword, which assisted in his defeat in the villain's defeat, though when he went back to 1947, these events were forgotten. Later, he served as the personal bodyguard to Winston Churchill during World War II. Feeling he wanted to return to Britain. When he first returned, he was able to take down a Nazi bomber. Also, during his career as a superhero, he met a boy who looked up to him and vowed to be his sidekick, whom he took under his wing and gave him the name Squire. Justin also had a relationship with the second Firebrand, who was apparently killed by the Dragon King. In the last battle with his teammates in the 7 Soldiers of Victory, they fought a powerful energy creature called Nebula Man. When they finally defeated him, the energies released in the explosion of Nebula Man had caused each member of the soldiers to be thrown and lost in time. Justin was thrown in Asia during Genghis Khan's reign, losing his memory and helping the Mongol leader. But he, along with other members of the soldiers, were eventually rescued by the Justice League. After this, he had amnesia for quite some time till his memories returned in Stars and Stripe. He rejoined with the reminder of the 7 soldiers and got his revenge on the Dragon King. During this appearance, he employed new high-tech armor, which was voice-activated to extend and collapse. During the events of Identity Crisis, Sir Justin would assist Captain Marvel and Firestorm in battling the Shadow Thief. The Shadow Thief would steal Sir Justin's sword and use it to stab Firestorm through the chest, resulting in the young hero's death. Shining Knight would briefly appear in the Cry for Justice storyline, where he was shown as one of the heroes recruited by Jay Garrick to help combat Prometheus. And this was actually the last time that Sir Justin would actually be seen in the DC universe before in 2005, when Grant Morrison did his reincarnation of the 7 Soldiers of Victory, that he would actually create a female Shining Knight, which is Justina. I'll just call her Justina, just because, like, the ancient Welsh translation says Justina, because saying Yastana just sounds weird to me. But the new Shining Knight, however, this was the Welsh equivalent, and that she was more out of place than Sir Justin. Apparently she is clearly a more Celtic mythology version compared to Sir Justin, who is more the British kind, and that the story explains that Camelot is a recurring archetype. She comes about 8000 BC, long before the 6th century Camelot that Sir Justin came from. That apparently she is the long-haired schoolboy of Camelot, and that she is knighted and dubbed the Shining Knight by Sir Galahad just before the fall of Camelot. Unbeknownst to Galahad, Justina, that Justin was actually Justina, and that she was a girl who was actually in love with him. Taking her horse Vanguard, she confronted Glorina Tinbri, I think is how you pronounce that, the Shida Queen, who takes them to Castle Revolting, the floating fortress of the Shida. Gloriana casually informs the young knight that she has stolen the sword Excalibur, one of the 7 unperishable treasures of the world. After Justina breaks free, she steals Excalibur and escapes from the castle, only to fall to Earth in modern day Los Angeles some 10,000 or 10 million years later. And there she is confronted by Guilt, a Shida Mood 7 mind destroyer who kills with words. Guilt informs her that the Shida broke Camelot and created a nightmare kingdom in its place, ruled by the undead king Mordred. Without the goodness of Camelot to inspire them, the kingdoms of Avalon, which took up all the world, committed suicide. Guilt taunts her, saying that if she had not run away, the war might have been won. However, after she saves a homeless man from being beaten and mugged by a bunch of thugs, Guilt evaporates, and newly enlightened, she seeks out the police and decides to use her abilities for the forces of good. There, the police contact 2 women, Agent Helen Helligan, a meta-human specialist for the FBI, and Dr. Gloria Friday, an expert on pre-Atlantean civilization. With Friday's uncanny grip of ancient Welsh, they learn of her predicament. Suddenly, as the clock strikes midnight, Friday reveals that she is really the Shida Queen, and promptly incapacitates Justina before poisoning Helligan. Back at Castle Revolting, Gloriana reveals to Justina that she is not the last of the knights, and that in the final days of the Age of Camelot she had captured Sir Galahad and broke his spirit, remaking him into a degenerate, mindless brute. And for her own twisted amusement, she made Justina and Galahad duel each other. Justina tries to reason with Galahad, but he is beyond her reach and mercilessly attacks her. Just then, the Shida Queen actually gets a long good whiff of Justina's menstrual blood, and comes to the realization that she is actually a girl. And then she leaves Galahad to torture her into joining the Shida side. She pleads with Galahad one last time before resolving that her mentor and the man that she loved was gone, and with one mighty strike she killed him. With tears in her eyes, she vowed to go after Gloriana and exact revenge. There is a subplot concerning Vincenzo, the Undying Dawn, the leader of the LA underworld, who acquires Vanguard from the police. He also owns the second of the 7 imperishable treasures, the Cauldron of Rebirth and Plenty. And apparently 2 servants of the Shida Queen, whose names I can't pronounce, kill him in the hopes that he will lead them to the cauldron. He does, remarking when he emerges that there are the end times when we make peace with what we are. Him and his servitors all die, but Vanguard escapes to get reinforcements for the final battle. In 7 Soldiers number 1, it is revealed that Justina's original name is, in fact, Justina, as I said. Following the defeat of the Shida, Justina abandons her facade of being a boy and enrolls in a 21st century school. She laments being stranded in our era and failing her king and fellow knights. However, she is informed by the magician Ali Kazum, of sketchy records of a great queen called Yastana the Good, who helped restore the Shida-ravaged world centuries ago. Whether she eventually returns to the past to assume this role remains to be seen. She was also seen in the Battle of Metropolis in Infinite Crisis number 7, fighting the Riddler. She also made a brief appearance in Week 50 of the Maxi Series 52, helping dozens of heroes battle the rage-maddened Black Adam. Fellow soldier Manhattan Guardian assists in that battle. It's also detailed in the 4th issue of the World War III tie-in series. She also appears in the New Deal arc of Teen Titans, in which, after losing various members due to the events of such as Battle of the Cowl and Terror Titans, Wonder Girl tasks Kid Devil with recruiting new heroes for the team. He approaches Justina with the intent of asking her to join, however is chased off when she mistakes him for a demon and tries to fight him. And following the events of Flashpoint, she ends up in Europe during the Dark Ages. In a pub, she meets Vandal Savage, Madame Xanadu, and Jason Blood. She shows early on, but very hidden, contempt for Jason Blood and Xanadu, saying they were at Camelot. Believing them to be liars, their incarnation of Camelot was the 16th century Sir Justin version, but she is not aware of this. She joins the Demon Knights team with 2 running gags going on. One was that everyone is aware that she is not physically a male, but they humor her to avoid offending her, and her habit of insulting people in Old Welsh and them not understanding her. And she's appeared in many other storylines, guys, but they're few and far between, and that's pretty much it, guys. That's like that's really about it. And surprisingly, I actually went into a New 52 origin deal there, but still, I like the concept of the Demon Knights, storyline, so I can actually forgive talking about at least that New 52-esque type deal. But anyway, guys, that is the origins of both Justina and Sir Justin. Guy Grail, I'll probably talk about when I do the video on Atomic Knight or Atomic Knights, whichever preference. But I like the Shining Knight, and I will admit I want to try to read Grant Morrison's New 7 Soldiers of Victory, because this female Shining Knight sounds like she's just as deep and complex and interesting. So with that, guys, that is Shining Knight, and as always, comment, rate, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video.